Welcome to the second episode of Kistaria Narrated, where the party embarks on their first trial. The next morning, everyone in the party but Chike rose at the break of dawn. They refreshed themselves on the tenets of the graveyard expedition, and decided that this was the quest they'd pursue today. It occurred to them that other students may be interested in the trial as well, so there was no time to waste. They left a note for Chike before heading over to the Vulture dorm to collect Izzy. Dantalion knocked on the door, only to be greeted by an elfish male with white hair and silver eyes. "Hi, can I help you?" Dantalion snuck a peek inside the room. She didn't spy Izzy, but Dar'Vo was sitting on an armchair nearby. "Greetings. Have either of you seen Izzy?" The elf opened the door further. "Izzy? Let me take a look." He turned around and glanced upwards. Rumani followed his gaze and spotted Izzy sleeping in the rafters.
"Hello. Can you come down, please?"
Izzy grumbled and turned away. "Is it an emergency?" Gustave stepped in.
We were going to the graveyard expedition. Apparently we're supposed to bring our student mentor? Sorry, student master.
Oh, right. The graveyard thing. And this can't wait for 3 hours?
And let other people get the Tome of Necrotic Power before us?
Make Ash do it instead. I need to sleep off all this nectar. He should be easy to push over.
Ash isn't our student master.
The elf, apparently Ash, nodded in agreement. At the same time, Dar'Vo stood up from his chair. "You're going on the graveyard expedition, is that right? You know, I helped create that trial. If you need someone to accompany you, I'd like to see how it performs." Rumani grinned.
"I suppose that wouldn't hurt."
Dar'Vo smirked. "Oh, it most certainly will hurt. Otherwise, I didn't design it properly."
"That's not what Never mind."
With Dar'Vo as their chaperone, the party began the trek towards the Magekeep Cemetery. On the way, they were solicited by a short old man with wispy white hair. "Enter the Nightmare Gauntlet. Face foes both real and imaginary, and at no risk of harm to yourselves." Curious, Rumani decided to approach. "Caught your ear, did I? My name is Victor Morpheus, but you can call me Sandman. I can stage battles with anyone, real or fictional, to unfold in the world of your dreams." Dar'Vo interjected. "I've tried the Sandman service myself a few times. It's useful for gauging how powerful your foes are before fighting them in reality." The party seemed interested, but couldn't think of anyone they wanted to try fighting just yet. The Sandman chuckled. "Well, I can see that you kids are busy today. Come back any time. Just remember, I'm not liable for any bedwetting. I'll be seeing you in your dreams." He threw a fistful of sand on the ground like a smoke bomb. When the dust cleared, he was asleep on the floor. Dantalion smiled and shook her head. That's a convenient way to end a conversation. Without any further interruption, the party reached the cemetery, which was located just outside of Magekeep's walls. As they neared, they spotted a slender figure with a wide-brimmed hat standing amidst the graves. His posture was oddly slanted, and when he turned, the party noticed the man had glowing blue eyes. Nonetheless, the graveskeeper greeted the party with a big smile. "Welcome, ye students. Welcome to mine graveyard trial. Here ye will face not just monsters of flesh and bone, but the very demons within your minds. Now, approach." The party did as they were told. "Your quest, should ye wish to accept it, is to journey to the depths of mine tomb and retrieve the Tome of Necrotic Power. Return it to mine master, Alder Hellas, to prove you have succeeded. Receive the ultimate reward. Extra credit." Gustave raised his hand.
Can we read it?
The graveskeeper recoiled. "Nay, 'tis too dangerous. Hark! Witness how this whole place lurches for your very souls." Something stirred nearby. 2 zombies and 2 skeletons clawed their way from the earth and surrounded the party. Gustave drew his rapier.
"Hey, we're getting jumped."
Dar'Vo wished the party luck before flying to the top of a nearby mausoleum to watch. Dantalion struck first, setting a zombie ablaze with a firebolt. One of the skeletons shot back, nicking her shoulder with an arrow. Rumani charged in with her glaive and cleaved a zombie's head off. To her astonishment, the undead merely reattached its missing skull and continued clambering forth. Gustave raised his shield to block an incoming arrow.
"I think we should take out the skeletons first. They'll be a nuisance if they keep taking shots at us while the zombies keep getting up."
Rumani and Dantalion broke off towards the skeletons while Gustave drew the zombies' attention. A combination of firebolts and eldritch blasts made quick work of the bones, but nothing could prepare Gustave for what was about to happen. The zombies approached him and attacked. 2 critical hits. Each of them wrapped their arms around Gustave's torso and tandem suplexed him to the ground.
You can't be fucking serious!
Gustave was out cold. If he didn't already have a fear of zombies, he'd certainly developed a phobia now. Rumani and Dantalion arrived just in time to finish off the zombies before Gustave could be endangered further. Dar'Vo flew back down and restored Gustave's consciousness with a healing word spell. I remember my first graveyard trial. Gustave returned to his feet, clutching his head.
Did you get body slammed as well?
Yes. I also got bitten by a ghoul, but I managed to escape without further injury.
Okay. Okay, I feel a little less bad about this now.
The Graveskeeper approached, applauding the party's victory. Congratulations! Ye have passed the first part of mine trial! Next, ye must turn your gaze towards the mausoleum, but be warned, its keeper will put your mind to the test. Gustave limped over to a patch of grass away from the graves and sat down.
I'm gonna be real, I need to take a breather. I'm just gonna sit down for a second.
Dar'Vo walked beside him and clicked his beak. If you're going to rest, just be quick about it. The last time I took too long on a trial, someone else came and poached the treasure. Regrettably, the party had left their only healer at home, so there was little choice but to take some time to recover. During their respite, the party was alerted to a single snapping sound coming from a nearby bush. As they went to investigate, a pink-skinned tiefling with heterochromatic eyes stepped out of the foliage. She greeted the party with a nod. Hey there! Name's Veracity, lead reporter of the Speak of the Devil Gazette. Dantalion noticed the tiefling was carrying an odd red box with a strange lens embedded in one of its faces. She asked what it was. This? Just a picto box. I'm going around snapping pics of first-year students having their first trial. Looks like yours could have gone better. Now, before you object, I'd like to remind you that those waivers you signed means you give the Academy the right to use your name and likeness. Gustave sighed.
Fun. Maybe they can make a magic clone of me to use as a dummy for suplex training.
Veracity laughed. True, you look very throwable. Well, that's all the time I have for this interview. Make sure you pick up a copy of the Gazette to see how your pictures turned out. Remember, you heard it first from the Speak of the Devil. With that, she was gone, rushing to the next batch of students to humiliate. As the party approached the mausoleum, they were blocked by a giant steel door with an engraving of a skull with rubies for eyes. To their astonishment, the door began to speak. You who seek the tome of necrotic power, you have proven your bodies by making it here. Now, test your minds. I will ask 5 questions. Answer them and journey down into the depths. But be warned, for each question answered incorrectly, a more and more gruesome fate awaits you. Dar'Vo smiled. Foreboding, isn't it? Don't worry, I wrote these questions. They aren't challenging. The door continued. First question. The mention of these makes mortals antsy. Name 3 spells from the School of Necromancy. The party huddled together. Is Chill Touch a part of necromancy?
I know Blight is.
Isn't Bestow Curse one?
Chill Touch, Blight, and Bestow Curse. Are you certain? Cautiously, Gustave nodded. You are correct. Second question. Ball, Bane, and Merkel, the triad called the Dead Three. Who among them is the Lord of Tyranny? Dantalion scratched her chin. Merkel is the dead god, I think.
Ball is the Lord of Murder, so it can't be him.
Oh, Bane then. The door shook again. You have answered Bane. You are correct. Third question. Though mortals live, they can easily die. How long after death can a person resurrect with Revivify? Gustave snapped his fingers.
Oh, I know this. 1 minute.
You are correct. Fourth question. With the right equipment, the end of a fight can be sudden. Name a creature vulnerable to weapons that bludgeon.
I know this one too. Skeletons are weak to blunt weapons.
You are correct. Dar'Vo clicked his beak. Well done, Mr. Henriksen. You're doing even better than I anticipated. For that, I'll let you in on a secret. The next question contains a bit of a trick. There are 2 possible answers. You need only mention one. The door continued. 5th question, by far the hardest. A mortal turns to dust after falling victim to disintegrate. What is the only way to reverse this fate?
By casting Wish? I'm thinking Wish.
The door's hinges creaked, mirroring the sound of laughter. Once more, you are correct. You have proven your minds. Now, descend into the tomb below and prove your spirit, your courage. With that, the steel door slid open, revealing a staircase leading to the darkness below. As they descended, Dar'Vo complimented the party. I'm surprised you knew that one. There have not been any mortals in recent memory who can cast either Wish or Disintegrate. As the party reached the bottom of the stairs, they entered a wide stone chamber illuminated by candlelight. Though the light was dim, the party spotted a note on the table in the center of the room. Gustave took it and read it aloud.
The stray lamb will be devoured by the pack. We need to stick together. Don't go off too far by yourself.
As the party considered their next steps, something frightening caught their attention. It was the sound of talons trotting over stone, but it wasn't coming from deeper in the tomb. It was coming from behind them. A familiar voice called out, "Wait! Wait for me! Please wait!" It was Chike, reuniting with the party at last. He leaned over, catching his breath. "Whew! I just was so exhausted by that tournament thing. I needed all the sleep I could get, but I am here now." He looked up and smiled. "Oh, hey Dar'Vo." Dar'Vo nodded in his direction. "Chike, I see you haven't changed a bit. A word of advice. As your dormmates have surmised, it would be wise of you four to stick together." Without missing a beat, Chike went over to Rumani and held her hand. As the party reconvened, they noticed there were 2 corridors leading out of the chamber, one to the north and one to the east. An undead moan echoed from the east, so the party elected to investigate the north path first. They emerged into a much smaller corridor with a large sarcophagus at the center. Rumani held her ear to the tomb and noticed a faint bubbling sound coming from within. Dar'Vo took a step back. "Are you going to open it? Perhaps I'll just stand back here." Rumani backed away carefully.
Perhaps we shouldn't. Surely it's not what we need. That would be too easy.
But her words fell upon deaf ears as Chike was already lifting the lid. As he did, metallic slime flooded from the sarcophagus and congealed on the floor. Dar'Vo took another step back. "Just so we're clear, what you've unleashed is a gray ooze, a pile of highly acidic slime capable of dissolving even metal. That is to say, if you have any steel belongings you don't want getting corroded, do keep your distance." Chike let out a sigh of relief. "Oh, that means we won't dissolve, just metal." As he said so, the ooze lunged at him, covering Chike in corrosive acid and taking him down instantly. Dentalian returned the favor by hurling a cold chromatic orb, freezing the ooze solid. Rumani then swung her glaive and shattered the foe to pieces. Dentalian shook her head. More disgusting than a booger. From the remains, Rumani noticed an amethyst fly out and went to go pick it up. Dar'Vo kneeled beside Chike and soothed his acidic wounds with another healing word spell. Chike sprung up instantly and shook out his feathers. "Thank you, Dar. I'll need a deep cleaning after that one." With no clear way forward, the party decided to return to the main chamber and head down the east path. As they progressed, the undead moaning grew louder. At the entrance of another chamber, they spotted a lone zombie, groaning and lightly banging its head against the dungeon wall. It paid the party no mind. Seeing no reason to poke the bear, the party advanced through the chamber to a long hallway about 60 feet long. From the other end, a walking skeleton hissed and sprinted towards them. Just as the party were raising their weapons, the skeleton stepped on a pressure plate. An arrow flew out from the wall, piercing its skull and ending its pursuit. Dar'Vo smirked. "Clever bit of dungeon design there, don't you think? Now you know this hallway is trapped." Rumani squinted down the corridor.
Let's keep going this way. We'll just be careful.
She took a step forward, only for Dar'Vo to pull her back just as another arrow flew by. "To be clear, your plan is to march down the obviously trapped corridor and just hope you don't trigger any of them? I'd rather none of you get killed, since then I'd be responsible for bringing you back. Rumani turned around, flustered.
Well, does anyone have any better ideas?
Chike spread his wings. All I can think of is to try flying to the other side and see if I could find a way to deactivate them, though the note warned us to stick together. Gustave chipped in.
That zombie from earlier was in direct line of sight with us, but it didn't do anything. That has to mean something.
The party returned to the chamber with the zombie, which was still just tapping its head against the wall. As they examined the creature, they noticed two distinct details. In one hand, the zombie gripped a furled scroll. In the other, it caressed a copper wedding band with an amethyst embedded in it. Chike studied its behavior and noticed its sluggish, apathetic demeanor seemed to have more behind it than just the zombie's undead nature. It seemed lonely, mourning, perhaps. Rumani pulled out her amethyst again and compared it to the gem on the zombie's ring.
This was once the wedding ring of that zombie's partner. That gray ooze must have dissolved the metal, so it's just an amethyst now.
Cautiously, she offered the gemstone to the zombie. It addressed her for the first time and carefully plucked the amethyst from her palm, leaving the furled scroll in its place. Rumani opened the parchment. It was thin and longer than she expected. It depicted several drawings of flames and X's, seemingly placed at random. After some deliberation, the party determined that this was a map of the trapped hallway. The flames were meant to represent the position of the candles on the floor, so the X's must show the placement of traps. Using the candles as points of reference, the party was able to navigate across the corridor without setting off any of the arrows. Once they were on the other side, Dar'Vo pulled a hidden lever, disabling the traps. The party then rounded the corner to the final chamber. It was a small room with another sarcophagus. As they neared, the tomb's lid lifted on its own. From its bowels rose a book with the same skull engraving as the mausoleum door. They'd found it at last, the Tome of Necrotic Power. Rumani and Gustave stepped forth, each placing a hand on the tome. Gustave wrapped his fingers under the cover, ready to open it.
I personally think we should be allowed to take a look.
Rumani interjected, pulling the tome closer to herself.
Wait, there's something evil about this book. It should be kept safe from people.
Gustave tugged back.
You don't have to read it, but the rest of us should get a choice. We all worked for this.
Right, because you killed the acid slime and gave the gem to that zombie, didn't you? Or did you just stand back and watch while Chike got covered in acid?
Gustave argued back.
Okay, and who answered the door's questions? All of them, correctly.
They bickered a while longer, much to Chike and Dantalion's disappointment.
Okay, I'm thinking about it more. This exercise was made by the school. The whole point is to teach us something. So there's probably some punishment or something if we open the book. That being said, it might be worth the risk.
Exasperated, Rumani turned to Dar'Vo.
Did the notes on the flyer say we're not allowed to open it? I don't want anyone getting hurt.
Dar'Vo shrugged. No, it's up to you. The tome is dangerous, just not in the way you might think. Gustave turned back to Rumani.
Well, if you're not willing to open it, I am.
Rumani hesitated, then released her grip on the tome. Gustave nodded in thanks, then grasped it in both hands.
If I get cursed, this is gonna suck and be totally pointless.
With that, he pulled back the cover. Green, necrotic light flooded the chamber. The tome's pages began to turn on their own, moving faster than Gustave could keep track of. They stopped at a passage, which Gustave began to read aloud.
Jokes for adventurers. Did you hear about the adventurer who tried to fight a zombie with salami? He was destroyed. Did you hear about the adventurer who jumped off a cliff without knowing Featherfall? He was destroyed. Did you hear about the adventurer who told the dragon her hoard was destroyed? In turn, she destroyed him! What the fuck is this?
Gustave closed the book, his eyes once again filling with disillusionment.
Disappointing, but most things are. I guess we should just turn this thing in.
Rumani came and placed a hand on his shoulder.
Evil ventures often lead to disappointment. And now we know.
Gustave brushed her off.
Evil and good are relative. Winning and losing is all there is.
Rumani frowned.
That mindset will lead you to misery.
Dar'Vo stepped in. I hope you're not all too disappointed that the Academy wouldn't leave out an artifact of boundless power for first-year students to discover. The tome was meant to serve as a token of completion, so I'm going to let Professor Hellas know you're coming. He should have a more tolerable reward for you. Do try not to lose the tome until then. Dar'Vo led the party outside the tomb and took off, flying towards the Academy. On the way back, the party took some time to go shopping around Magekeep for new equipment. Gustave broke off to go purchase the newest edition of the Red Continent manga, and luckily he didn't run into Todbert inside the bookstore. When the party returned to the Academy, they followed the directions on the flyer to a room deep within the campus grounds. The light seemed to dim as they approached Professor Hellas's classroom. They opened the door and were met with a grisly sight. The lecture hall was filled with bones, coffins, and even a cadaver or two. What stuck out the most was a giant green vat on the far side of the room that seemed to be swirling with spirits. Next to it stood Dar'Vo, and a short, older man with grey hair and a headband with a ruby at the center. He beckons them forth. Ah, you must be the students who undertook the graveyard trial. Step forth and show me the Tome of Necrotic Power. Gustave obeyed and placed the tome in Professor Hellas's hands. Most excellent. Dar'Vo tells me you were the brains of the operation. Such fine work warrants a reward, wouldn't you say? Gustave nodded.
God's willing.
The professor chuckled. They are. Each of you, step forth. Don't be shy. I don't bite nearly as often as my zombies do. He went to his desk and began searching through the drawers. Gustave, for you, I have something to help advance your arcane studies. He presented Gustave with a hat of wizardry, a magical piece of headwear which allows its wielder to attempt to cast any wizard cantrip. Don't worry, I've made some modifications that should allow you to use it despite not being a wizard yourself. Gustave thanked him and stepped back. Rumani was next in line. Ah, you must be Rumani, yes? I can feel some suppressed power stored within that weapon of yours. Might I see it for a moment? Hesitantly, Rumani parted with her glaive. Professor Hellas held his hand to the weapon's blade. Green magic flowed from his fingertips and into the steel. In an instant, the rust and scratches in the metal dissipated, and a warm glow filled the room. The glaive was now capable of shedding bright and dim light. Rumani gasped.
I got this glaive from my father. He was an adventurer long ago.
The professor nodded. I can tell this was once a powerful artifact. Perhaps it can be further restored in the future. Rumani thanked him and went to go stand by Gustave. Dentalion was up next. Dentalion the sorcerer, I presume. I can tell you have suffered much in your short life. Perhaps this can alleviate the burden, if just for a moment. He handed her a wand of smiles, a playful artifact that could attempt to force its target to grin. Chike stepped up after Dentalion. And better late than never, Sir Chike Minuet. I do apologize that Grimslock's mandate to attend my life, death, and undeath lecture is getting in the way of your ambition. To that end, I offer you this, so you may continue to inspire and perform. He gave Chike a cloak of many fashions, a magical garment that could change appearance at will. With your reward out of the way, let us move on to other matters. This trial Dar'Vo and I created was quite similar to the dungeons found below Magekeep. Though the Tome of Necrotic Power was a mere farce, I possess what you might think of as the real thing. The Testament of Merkel, a tome possessing the highest powers of necromancy. It was unearthed last year by Dar'Vo and his peers, and promptly fell into my possession. Unfortunately, many of its pages have been scattered across the dungeons, rendering its power to mere fractions. But it can be restored by recovering the pages that have been lost. You four have proven yourselves quite adept at this task. To that end, I would ask if you'd be interested in restoring the Testament to its full, unrestrained glory. I do not only appeal to your better nature, of course. Those who assist me often find themselves appropriately rewarded. Gold, status, power. This is what I can offer you. Gustave didn't waste a second.
Absolutely.
Professor Hellas smiled. You were right about this one, Dar'Vo. Rumani, of course, was a little more hesitant.
What exactly is going to be done with this book if it's restored? I think I have a right to know what I'm assisting with.
The professor nodded. Quite, though I am still testing the limits of its power. Should it be restored, we may be able to manipulate the flow of life and death as only a god can. Think of this. With its power, we may raise a legion of undead to conquer Cambria. No longer would the lives of good Empire soldiers be lost in this pursuit. Chike scratched his head. Are we at war or something? Professor Hellas stared at him for a long, uncomfortable moment. At last, he spoke. Yes, we are a nation at war. I see how the comfort of our nation's strength alleviates you of this burdensome knowledge. Chike clicked his beak. If we are at war, don't we have allies too? Why resort to the undead? Gustave jumped in.
My family's been fighting for the Empire for centuries. I don't want to lose any more family members to the war. The dead are already dead. They don't feel fear. They don't suffer. Living people, though, real bodies get churned in the meat grinder of war day after day to protect us.
Professor Hellas nodded. My sentiments exactly. The Empire is nigh undefeatable, true, but at what cost? Why suffer the losses of our comrades? Why suffer loss at all? The testament of Merkel may very well unlock the secrets of immortality. Rumani still didn't like that.
Merkel is one of the dead three. He's an enemy of Bahamut for a reason.
Professor Hellas held up his hand. Allow me to place a pause in this conversation. I aim not to convince you to perform this task. I offer it only if you are interested. If you are not, then you needn't concern yourselves with the testament. In any case, you needn't decide now. I will reach out to you with the potential assignment next week. Now, go and enjoy yourselves. You're only young once. At least until that's something we can control. Dar'Vo watched silently as the party exited the room. As they walked back to their dorm, the party discussed the logistics of what they'd just been offered. Gustave and Dantalion were on board for restoring the Testament of Merkel. Chike and Rumani were more apprehensive. Having reached no verdict, they decided to drop it for now and spend the rest of the day preparing for the trials of tomorrow. End of Episode 2. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to embark on a D&D journey like this one, consider visiting my page on StartPlaying.games. My account is now fully set up, so it'll be linked in the description. At this time, I have listings for a one-shot called The Tomb of the Forgotten Paladin. I plan to add more one-shots and even full campaigns in the future, so stick around. Until next time, never stop adventuring.